Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 92 of Pony 401. This is for the week of February 22nd. I'm Nemesis, and joining me is Alca7raz.
Hello.
And yeah, we got another fanon episode, I guess, for you. Probably not going to be a long one. It's kind of a leftovers, I guess, of our last discussion.
Yep.
Which was actually, I think 3 weeks ago now.
2 or 3.
Yeah. And yeah, we got that, but we got some news first. Again, not a whole lot of it, but
Not as much as last week.
yeah, not the yeah, that was insane.
That was a lot of news.
Yeah, so might as well just get started, right? Yeah, if you want to follow along, go to pony411.libsyn.com/show notes. You spell it Libsyn, Libsyn. Anyway, in convention news, BronyCon has announced the return of Amy Keating-Rogers, plus Kazumi Evans.
Nice.
PonyCon NYC just wrapped up, but they have opened up ticket sales for 2016.
That's pretty quick,
So
actually.
if you're already, it's like Everfree last year. Remember?
Everfree only opened up for attendees. They didn't open up generals till later.
A little bit later, but not surprising, really. Anyway, AwesomeCon has announced Brenda Hickey, one of the artists for the MLP comic.
Awesome.
Yes, everything is awesome.
Everything is awesome.
No.
Sorry.
Anyway, in fandom news, and I guess other stuff as well, if you were one of the people who backed the Bronies documentary, or I guess bought it, pre-ordered it, whatever, you should be seeing the Bronies 2 DVD right about now.
Yep.
If you want to watch it.
If you want to.
Gameloft is teasing the next update for their MLP game, which includes, not surprisingly, Tyrek.
T-Rex.
Because, as we mentioned before, they already found assets for him in the game. So, and apparently other ponies as well, so.
Yeah, but everyone cares about T-Rex.
Yeah, I guess you're going to fight him in some minigame thing. I don't remember his exacts. Anyway, Amy Keating-Rogers, hey, her again, is trying to raise funds for the Los Angeles County High School for Arts Drama Department. If you want to help, well, go donate it. You've probably seen them floating around, but the 3D Equestrian Girls models that have been imported into Source. They still may be a bit buggy, I've heard, so keep checking back at the creator page or whatever. He'll keep them updated.
Yep.
Make all your 3D Equestrian Girls films in Source Filmmaker or whatever.
Oh boy.
In merchandise news, Wave 12B of the blind bags is released in the UK because apparently they split the blind bag waves there.
That is weird.
I don't know why, but they do. Anyway, 12B's out. If you're in the UK, go check it out. A variant of the ceramic Pinkie Pie bank has been found. This one has her element of harmony. Kind of I guess, tampoed or painted on or whatever. It's interesting, kind of random change.
Yeah,
Not sure why.
Variant. No clue.
Especially now they don't even have the elements anymore. Whatever. Anyway, speaking of banks, the Diamond Select Pinkie Pie bank is now available for pre-order for $20.
Yeah, this one isn't the Cyclops one.
Yeah. This one's $20, and apparently if you don't pre-order it, it's going to be $23 or something. And yet another entry in the odd category. Apparently there will be MLP ice cube trays. Oh, really?
Yes, so you can watch your favorite pony melt.
Oh, or your
and then drink them.
most hated pony melt.
And then drink them.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And a leftover bit of New York Toy Fair news. Yes, more of that.
More of that.
More squishy pop ponies were shown. These were more than just the Wave 2s, which had the Cutie Mark Crusaders. Apparently there will be a standing main 6. Princess Luna, Cheerilee, DJ Pone 3, Octavia, Derpy, and Spike. Also from the New York Toy Fair, a concept Aurora Celestia plushie was spotted. I just want to let you know that this concept has not actually been fully approved yet.
Right.
So it might change by the time it gets released. Speaking of plushies, though, the singing Famosa Celestia plushie is now available in stores in Europe. Took them a while, but
Took them a while.
it's out now. And something we just missed last week, but Monopoly on Xbox One is getting Pony DLC. It will be out on the 25th.
Yay.
Yeah, Monopoly.
You can play Monotony
Yes.
with ponies.
In comic news, Brenda Hickey has shown a sneak peek of an upcoming Friends Forever issue. She hasn't said which one, though, so it might be one that hasn't been announced yet. Friends Forever, number 16, speaking of which, has been announced. Apparently, it's about Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon. The synopsis reads, when Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon see those obnoxious blank flanks, the Cutie Mark Crusaders, threaten to win a school contest, they decide to go all out to make sure the best ponies win, being themselves, of course.
Interesting.
And one of the covers looks like a kind of a Velma pony, from Scooby-Doo. Very short,
Yeah.
Dark red hair, orange sweater,
Glasses.
magnifying glass,
Magnifying glass.
and glasses as well. So it's like,
Hell no.
I don't know. Also, another issue has been announced, issue 30 of the main series. And the synopsis for that reads, Ponyville Days, Part 1. A massive event celebrating Ponyville's founding is nearing, but an argument between friends split the town into two argumentative factions. That's an odd one. And also, this is the first time they've kind of made a multi-parter start on an even number.
Yeah.
Because it's always been odd numbers up to this point. Now it's... So, yeah, we're getting one standalone issue for 29, and then it's kind of interesting. So I'm not sure what's going on there.
May have just
Probably
been the way it worked out.
Yeah, might be we're getting another standalone after 32, or 32 will be another standalone or something. I don't know.
No clue.
Anyway, or maybe they're going to have a 3-parter, which will be weird. Anyway, Fiendship is Magic #1 has a 2-page preview out if you want to see it. It's interesting, that's for sure. And Equestrian Girls news. The rough animatic for Rainbow Rocks has been posted, taken down, and then re-uploaded. So get it while it's hot.
Get it while it's hot.
Yeah, I got... the person who made it posted it. It got hit by YouTube Content ID, and someone else managed to grab it though. So
yeah,
I'm not sure how long you'll have before it's gone. Hopefully, you'll still be up when this is posted.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll just get it fixed and.
Yeah, that too. So go check it out. It's pretty interesting actually. Just kind of, it's just a rough version, and some differences you can see from the final version. Plus, the song itself is actually different vocals, plus actual some differences in lyrics. In Friendship is Magic news, Netflix has once again extended the removal date for Friendship is Magic. It's now the 16th of March. So yeah, it just keeps kind of extending.
Slowly pushing.
So I'm guessing they are slowly negotiating things. It's going to be well.
Yeah.
Anyway, finally, Season 5 concept art appeared at PonyCon last week, and some of it is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see. You got...
Dude, spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoilers. You've got, let's see, apparently a brand new Griffin who actually looks kind of owlish.
Looks sort of, yeah. There's a long-legged carrot top figure.
Yeah, almost.
Which is a bit interesting.
You got a bunch of new ponies. You got some sort of factory-looking thing of sorts.
Yep. Mountain path.
Monsters, which I think are...
I think those were the monsters, yeah.
Yeah, the monsters from Pinky Apple Pie.
Yeah, found in that cave.
Some shack in the middle of nowhere. Some pony in a scarf or whatever. Not scarf, but
I know.
bandana on their head.
Full profile view.
And this one is the one that looks most interesting to me. Is this a pony in a gas mask type setup thing?
Yeah.
Not sure what it is, but it looks interesting.
Yep.
I'm not sure if it's all from the premiere or from multiple pieces of the season, but yeah.
I don't know. That looks interesting.
Very interesting. So that's it for the news today.
The news. Nice short.
Not too shortish. Much to it. Not the insanity.
Yeah, not like last week.
No more Toy Fair insanity.
Or that one week where we had to go back and forth. We just had so much news.
Yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got like I said at the top of the show, we got a discussion. Once again, we're diving into fanon stuff, and we're also going to bring a little bit about canon stuff in regards to what a show director once just recently stated publicly.
Yep.
We're going to try to keep things a little civil, and
yeah, we'll try. We always try and keep things civil.
So yeah, we talked about fanon about 3 weeks ago. We had a couple things here and there. We didn't quite feel like we finished. Probably will never feel like that. We'll always have something.
Yeah,
but
new fanon is always...
New fanon or just old stuff we forgot about.
Yeah.
But we got a couple of things. I guess just to go ahead and start.
Get started, yeah.
No real way to lead into it. But I think this is one that's always been super popular, but it's always been also very divisive, which is the Derpy and Dinky thing.
Yeah.
That's a really weird one that I've seen people fight about.
Yeah, is Dinky Derpy's daughter?
If you don't know, everyone knows who Derpy is.
Everyone knows who Derpy is.
The gray blonde.
Yep.
Pegasus with the derped eyes, exactly. And Dinky, she's a little blonde unicorn filly who has a grayish tinted purple coat.
Yeah.
It's actually more of a purple, but it can sometimes look gray.
Yeah.
And people decided for whatever reason that because of the similar color schemes that they must be related.
I think they've been seen together too, but
I don't
not
think so.
as much as anyone else has been seen together.
Yeah, it's just one of those random things.
Yeah.
I don't think they actually were ever really in a scene together. If they were, it was insignificant.
Yeah.
But this is one of those fanons that just persists despite. And I'm going to go ahead and tick some people off probably. This seems to just persist. Yes, I see him. He's just kind of, oh God, here we go. But it persists despite the fact that multiple times in the show this seems to contradict this fanon. Multiple times now. I mean, there was because I think it's actually.
I think there was actually a scene where it showed Dinky with a different adult, and it was pretty implied that they were related. But this is one that dates back to season 1. I think it was already getting established back in actually far back as it went to wrap up, which that's pretty early. But yeah, I think that's one. Their sister who's social. We saw her with a sister who's clearly kind of on older and yeah.
Well, I think she's like, I can't remember what her name is, but she's a purple one.
Yeah.
There was this other time, I don't remember which episode it was, but she was with an adult who was clearly not derpy.
Yeah.
And seemed to know this adult, possibly familial. So it's one of those weird things, especially but
I mean, we don't have any 100% confirmation.
But it seems the evidence would weigh way more in the idea of contradicting this one. I'm not. Is this kind of, and that's not only that contradictory because people, the chief reason was, they have similar color schemes, and now we know that's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, and
actually,
actually,
should have been already known by that point.
We don't have any confirmation that would even. Oh, okay, we have a couple little things that would show that. That's another weird one when you talk with canon.
Yeah, color schemes.
Sometimes you'll see them carry.
Sometimes they won't.
Most of the time, though, you don't.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll see some vague similarities and stuff. For example, Dash and Blaze, Rainbow Dash and
Yep, that's
very
another
similar
one we
coats.
don't.
They're different shades of blue, but they both have rainbow hair and.
Yep.
One of the weird ones. But you got the Apple family who are all different colors.
All
oranges, reds, greens, browns.
So yeah, it's just like
particularly within the Apple family itself. We got Applejack, orange and yellow, or blonde, I guess. Apple Bloom was yellow and red, and then Big Mac, who's red and orange, and see, there's
some similarities.
Then you got Granny Smith, who's green, and probably it seems like in the flashback she seems like a blonde, very much a platinum blonde type thing. That's pretty much.
Although there's a whole generation that we're not seeing there.
Yeah,
so
that's
maybe
it's a whole. Else. And then you got the Apple family. There's a green ones, yellow ones, brown ones. Yeah.
Yep. They got the whole gambit going on there.
Yeah, because it's pastel ponies. They just kind of designed the character. That looks good.
Yep. It's not about matching
color schemes to families. But then you got the Rarity's family, which are like almost all white.
Yes.
So you got similar colors and everything.
So
he's Wisconsin.
Hillbilly.
No, he's Wisconsin. That's not hillbilly.
Oh, I don't know.
That's Wisconsin, Minnesota cheesehead.
Oh.
That's not, that's, don't you know?
Oh. Yeah,
that's not hillbilly.
Not hillbilly.
If you want hillbilly, that's what is it? Turnip truck or whatever?
Oh, yeah, that's hillbilly.
Yeah, or redneck or whatever. But yeah, that's actually a good one. I didn't even think of this whole color thing. You just brought it up, and wow.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens when you discuss things.
Yes,
but I mean, like Twilight's family,
blue, purplish, sort of.
You got blue. Her dad's blue. He's just blue and dark blue, and then you got the mom, which is white with purple in her hair, but purple and white striped, and then you got Twilight, who's
purple with purple, and more purple, very purple,
and pink.
Multiple shades of purple.
And then you got Shining, who's white and blue.
Yeah.
Which, if anything, Shining actually looks like the one.
Shining would actually work because
Well, if you're going by colors.
Because
he's a combination.
Yeah.
Fluttershy don't know nothing. Pinky is a weird outlier because
Pinky is an outlier
all her
on
family
many
very
things.
muted colors.
Yep.
All her family is very muted in color, except for her. She's pink.
Yes, but if you actually notice, it was done simply because of personalities. They did that on purpose, not because, familial relations.
They didn't have anything off families when they made her. It's just, you have a character named Pinkie Pie.
Well, yeah, but they made the rest of the family dull and muted to match their personalities.
That's the whole point, that's
that's what we're saying, is their colors
are kind of irrelevant.
They are irrelevant. There is
sometimes
you'll get connection, but most of the time it's just simply for the sake of whatever will work for either aesthetics or personality and telling a story.
Yeah, there is. I mean, so that's one of the weird things. Just pony genetics are weird.
So yeah, all these fan and stuff where they say,
probably
we're going
to
merge these two. They take copies. They take both the characteristics and merge them into like, oh, this is the offspring. It's like,
that reminds me. I remember those fan
and have to work that way.
Offspring OCs that pop up. They're just combinations. They're just color combinations or whatever.
It's like,
which, as we now know, is kind of not necessarily the case. We sometimes get a color combo. Sometimes we don't. Just, I guess, magic just affects things weird.
Magic.
Just magic.
Magic. We don't have to explain it. That's all.
Pretty much, it's just magic changes.
Actually, I saw one that they used magic to explain why they work a connection. Why they had matching colors. It's like, because it's not a natural offspring. It was used magic. That means it was literally a DNA clone.
Speaking of magic and colors, people pointed out magic seems, for unicorns, magic seems to be very much, their magic color seems to be very much tied to their eye color.
Yeah,
it's either close or identical. Like Rarity's blue. She has blue eyes. Twilight's is, purplish. If they made it more red after season 1.
Yeah, but then there's some differences there too.
Sometimes, but
Sweetie Belle, we've seen her use little bits of magic, and it's green.
Isn't what color?
It's light green. I don't. Is her green? Light? Yeah, I think it's light green.
Yes,
but not even then. It's just like
Sunsets is she's got a shade of green, like a very light.
Yeah,
shade
it does
of green.
seem to be related to the eye,
and
sort of.
Her magic is very close in color to her eye color, and yes, Sweetie Belle does have green eyes. It is green.
Okay, I'll never look at
Sweetie Belle's eyes often. Like I said, it's just weird. It's I don't know if it's just easier. Maybe it's just one of those happy accidents. Maybe just easy for the animators or what.
Oh, and speaking of the magic art, that's another thing. We don't know if anyone else can see those.
Yeah, it's kind of like
the show never really implies that they can see the auras.
It's just for us. It's just like an easy thing. Oh, look, Twilight's using magic again.
Yeah, that might be.
Might be for us. It might be an actual effect.
I've seen a lot of fanon where they can see it, and some that they don't. But
I think the more popular that everyone can see it.
Yeah, in the show, they don't react to it at all.
Yeah, it's probably because it's just normal.
Yeah.
Just, oh, look, unicorns using magic, whatever.
Although, sometimes you'll see in the show where they don't, where the colors, like Chrysalis, I believe. Doing that when her aura was green, because it's Chrysalis.
Yeah, but she's also got greenish eyes.
Does Cadence?
Cadence? What color is her magic?
That's one. What is Cadence's magic color? Because I'm pretty sure they were different.
I honestly forgot. That's one of the ones that's really easy to forget.
Mm-hmm.
Celestia's an outlier. Hers is yellow. Her magic's yellow, but her eyes are like the pinkish color.
Yeah.
Luna's is blue. She's very blue, but her eyes are kind of closer to Sunset's, if anything. When I think about it, Luna and Sunset's eyes are actually kind of similar-ish. Not quite the same shade, but I think like Luna's is a darker shade, but Luna's eyes are kind of green, but she has blue magic. So I think the princesses are just kind of a different.
Yeah, I think those princesses are
trying to find something where Casey Caden's using magic.
What color are her eyes? They're a purplish pink.
They're kind of actually almost identical to Twilight's eye color.
But again,
Cadence's is
blue?
Very light blue.
Except I'm not sure if that was the same type. I don't know. Does it always match their color depending on the type of magic they use? Because that was
zap. Whenever they zap, it's always their standard color. So, yeah, Cadence is very light blue.
Blue magic. Yep. And here I've got. Yep. It's light blue. So Cadence's doesn't match. But another thing that leads us back to the original: do they see them? When it was Chrysalis, it was dark green. How did they not notice the color difference? If they can see them, you think they would notice. Maybe they can't see them, and it's only for our benefit.
Maybe, but as we all have seen, Twilight's magic color did change between season 1 and 2 for no apparent reason, so who knows? It's because it used to be very purple, then it got more red. It got a more of a reddish tint, which a lot of people thought was somehow turning me Twilight evil or something. It was weird. That was a weird line of speculation. I remember that. It was like, her magic's reddish now. She's going to be turned evil. What? They're going to turn the main character evil, at least not permanently. Yeah, so I guess for the most part, magic seems to line up, but the occasional oddity sometimes is just because, in particular for that scene, it's like, oh, look, they both have the exact same color magic.
Yeah, that would be interesting. But no.
The Celestia makes sense. Why it'd be yellow.
Because it's Celestia, the sun.
Otherwise, again, it'd be kind of very close to Twilight's color of magic, which wouldn't probably not, which kind of would help lead credence to a certain fan theories, which have since been
Yeah.
But derailing from that for just a second, I guess. I just realized I don't think we've ever seen Lyra use magic.
I think we have, and I think
it matches her green. But it was like very brief. Yeah, it's probably green.
Yeah, it's the same green. I think so.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. I think her eyes match.
She's very almost. Yeah, she's like very, very muted colors. Well, not muted, but
well, it's pastel.
Yeah, I'm not saying muted. I'm trying to say it's very not quite monochrome, but
not monochrome. Yeah, they only have one.
She's got 2 colors basically.
Yeah.
Whereas like you got like Twilight, who's got 4, and then Rainbow Dash, she's got.
Oh, she's got yellow eyes.
Oh, yellow eyes, huh?
Yellow eyes.
Anyway, speaking of Lyra, though, this is one that kind of I can't believe we didn't even talk about at all. I think it's just because I'm not really the biggest fan of it, but the whole Lyra and humans thing.
Yes.
All stemming just because she sat funny in one episode.
Yep. Lyra sitting like a human.
And then from there,
everything.
And I think the thing is, it's just a fandom wants someone that's kind of the pony version of us.
Yeah.
The weird obsessed.
Yep.
The weird obsessed lunatic.
Yep.
And that I've noticed that people it's kind of gone from she kind of went from she likes a show called My Little Human or whatever. It's an inverse joke to wanting to find out about humans to being absolutely obsessed to being insane about it. And it's just it got out of control. Now we got Equestrian Girls is a thing. So now the joke is. Human Lyra is obsessed with ponies, which, let's be honest, a girl being obsessed with ponies is not exactly the most weird thing.
Yeah.
But
and looking here, Lyra's magical color matches her eyes.
Yeah, there you go. But speaking of which, then there's of course now there's all those people like human Lyra. Does she sit like a pony?
Yeah, that would be funny.
But I think it's just kind of a little ridiculous because
I like the concept just because it's kind of a neat. Yeah,
sometimes it gets a little overbearing.
But I do think it gets overdone.
It's just, I guess, before Equestrian Girls in particular, it's just like, well, how the heck would they know what humans are?
Yeah.
Unless we have a mirror.
There's multiple.
Now we have a mirror link thing, so it's like it's possible some sort of drawing or something. Someone went through and then came back with drawings of weird creatures. Yeah, of course, the human obsession has kind of turned into obsession with having hands as well.
Yep, hands. I don't know what to put the hands, but hands.
So yeah, I'm surprised we didn't even touch on that. We talked about Lyra and Bonbon like a lot for a good chunk last time. We just didn't even touch the Lyra human thing. I guess, like I said, I think it's just because I don't know. I'm not really a huge fan of it. I think especially when you're trying to be it's always I think it's part of it's just several fics where it feels like it just got derailed because they had to have a Lyra being obsessed with humans thing in the middle of it for no reason. Just like I've seen a lot of fics feel like they get derailed because look, Doctor Who's, which is another thing.
That's another big one.
Yeah, especially with Derpy again. Yeah,
which I don't know where that
still
even started.
Rue the day Hasbro decided to change the name from Time Turner to Doctor Who's.
Yep, made that official.
Really kind of bugs me in multiple ways. I wish they just stuck with Time Turner. I wish they stuck with their guns on that one. But
it sells toys.
Yeah, it does.
It does. It really does.
So yeah, it's a thing, and I've never been a fan of it just because. Yeah, I don't mind it. Especially when people. Oh, okay. I'm okay with people like it's an homage. Okay, but I don't like it when people actually insist it's actually the Doctor.
Oh yeah, no.
That just gets annoying because like okay, now you're doing a crossover type thing, and it's like that can get needlessly complicated, and especially since we got 2 different universes with 2 different rule sets, and now it's like
it is the Doctor.
Yeah, and then you got the whole that whole nonsense of Daleks and
Dalek,
whatever. See, I don't even know.
He doesn't watch. You can't yell at him for mispronouncing it.
Daleks and you get Daleks and Cybermen and time travel and jumping around places, all that stuff, and weeping.
Weeping angels.
Yeah, all that stuff, and it's just introducing that into ponies doesn't seem like a good idea to me.
Yeah, no. I think it's. I guess it can be fun, but again, I think people get a little bit too
caught up,
rambunctious about it. Yeah.
Okay, I guess jumping around because this is going to happen a couple times. We got a couple things set up. Okay.
We're jumping around topics just as much as fanon jumps around.
I know. But yeah, kind of going back, we kind of talked about family stuff. And this kind of ties into it with pony naming conventions. is the most bizarre, unreconcilable thing I can imagine right now with the show.
Not to, just to start out with the weirdness of the names at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I mean, they are horses. Find me a horse that doesn't have a weird name.
Yeah. But, okay. So we got these ponies. Yeah, okay, we got the main 6. We got 3 of them have 2-word names, 3 of them have single-word names, but they don't necessarily line up with their familial names, and it's like,
do they even have familial names?
Do we are kind of, as a society, kind of, well, Western society used to first name, middle name, last name.
Yep. You have your given name, your middle name that's pretty much only used for when someone else has your name or you're in trouble, and your last name that identifies your family.
Yeah. And ponies seem to sometimes do that, sometimes don't.
I think Pinkie Pie is the only one that has a familial name.
Well, of the main 6.
Of the main 6.
Sort of.
Pinkamena Diane Pie.
Yeah. She has she's the only one I know of in the show who has a name full, like, first, middle, last.
Yeah, it's the only one.
Although Dash constantly talks about what her middle name is. Rainbow Danger Dash. Rainbow Professionalism Dash.
Yep.
How many middle names does Dash have? Let's find out.
I don't know. Do you want to include fandom in there?
How many pages is this?
But I've seen some of that with.
But yeah, it's interesting because we got the Pie family. They are the Pie family. We got Pinkie Pie, Maud Pie, Limestone Pie, Marble Pie.
And it wouldn't be a very good tasting pie.
Haven't you ever had marble cake?
Marble cake? Marble cake.
Marble. But anyway, it's a swirl thing. Or marble ice cream. But anyway, it's just basically like a vanilla chocolate swirl.
Yeah, I know what that is.
It's good. Anyway, but then you got the Apple family, but almost none of them have like Apple as like the last part of the name, because you got Applejack, Apple Bloom, Big Macintosh, no actual Apple name, but it's an apple, but it's not, doesn't say Apple. You got Granny Smith, who I suspect was not always called Granny Smith.
Well, because Granny is never part of your actual name.
Yeah, so it's one of those.
It's a title.
It's one of those things they just call her that, and they never thought about what about when she was young, because it wasn't necessary at that point. Now it's like, oh crap.
Oh.
But then you got like the extended family. So you got like Apple Strudel, Apple Fritter, Brayburn,
and 2 of them have apple in them.
Yeah, but they're in the front, just like Applejack, so it's like Apple Bloom.
That's
so you got that whole nonsense right there.
They're all Apple related.
They all have Apple names.
Themed.
Apple themed names, but they don't necessarily have. Yeah. But then you got like Rarity, she's just Rarity, but she has this sister named Sweetie Belle, and she has parents we don't actually have
the names
technically, although a lot of people call her dad Magnum.
Oh, Magnum. Yes.
Yeah, because I guess Magnum PI sort of.
Yeah,
mustache. But there doesn't seem to be any real last name or traditional naming. It's all different.
Yeah.
And then you got Twilight, again. This is Twilight
Sparkle.
But she has a mom named Twilight Velvet. And the dad who named Nightlight, although I don't think, again, those are not really official. They're like semi-official in a sense now.
Yeah, I think they're semi-official. Yeah, it's like...
And then she got a brother named Shining Armor.
There's no real connection there.
It's like I'm not even sure Nightlight is supposed to be 1 or 2 words.
Yeah,
like for a long time, that's another thing. Apple Bloom, a lot of people spell it as 1 word. It's actually supposed to be 2, apparently.
Yeah, like the other Apple whatever.
Yeah,
in
but
the extended family.
It's the only relation there is there's some sort of thing about light or whatever in all their names.
Sparkle.
Yeah, it's Twilight,
Sparkle,
Twilight Velvet,
Shining
Light,
Armor.
Shining. Exactly. It's like, that's the only real commonality there. And you got, to further complicate things, you got Rainbow Dash and her dad, Rainbow Blaze.
We think is her dad. That's again a partial, the only connection we have is the card game.
But if that is the name, that means there's commonality is the first name.
Yeah. It's really the only connections we ever see with names is just theming and it matches their personality.
The thing that found fanon though is that a lot of people try to do things like, oh, her name is Rarity Belle or Applejack Apple, and it's like,
well, actually, one of my scenes with that one was Jacqueline Apple.
That comes up, but I've seen more people try to do Applejack Apple, which is
that's just weird.
Yeah, or some people just swap it around, just Jack Apples, Jacqueline, but that is or Jackie or.
Jackie is a nickname.
Yeah, or...
I do kind of like the idea of Jacqueline, but it doesn't fit the theming as well.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Jacqueline Apple.
Unless there is some weird apple dish called Jacqueline.
Someone tell me. That would be interesting.
But, yeah, it's just one of those odd things. It's just like, people try to do the Rarity Belle thing, and it's like,
Magnum,
though? Kind of might work, but
I know why people want to do it, because that's what we're makes used to, and it does make
especially with the whole, now we got humans, and now it's like, oh
boy.
Man. And then, of course, you got the cakes. They're married, Mr. and Mrs. Cake. Carrot cake, cupcake, but...
okay.
Did they both have the same last name and just happen to meet each other, or what?
But are they even last names? Because cupcake is one. Is it one word or is it two words? I think I've seen it both.
Yeah, and this is where things get complicated.
Things do get very complicated there.
The whole naming convention is just a nightmare, and I think every single fan in the attempt to try to sort it out just fails, just falls flat on its face for various reasons. Because, like, how do you refer to Twilight's family? The Twilight family? The Sparkle family?
Yeah.
Exactly. I've seen people try to do it, and it's difficult.
It is, because we're so used to using family names.
Yeah, we're just used
for
to
identification.
Our societal thing. We're trying to impose on that as a fictional society with ponies, and it's like, it doesn't quite work. And I guess speaking of the whole naming thing, this is okay. I'm going to get into a weird topic.
Oh boy, yes.
This is going to be fun. I'm just going to say that if I misspeak at any point and say something wrong, I'm sorry in advance. But I'm not trying to get political or anything like that. But this is kind of related to the naming thing, and I'll have to kind of circle around back to that. But Equestrian society. Okay, let's be honest. Our real society in the Western Europe and U.S. in particular kind of is a patriarchy.
Yes.
This is kind of something I know. Somebody's going to scream at me.
Someone's going to yell at us for that.
But it is.
It is. It's a long.
A lot of things. Culture. It's a long thousands of years of culture. Just kind of it's now starting to slowly be chipped away. But any which way. But when we try to, some people try to force that onto Equestria, but there's been no actual official word on it, but the way things are presented to us, with princesses being the highest authority, and the founders seemingly all female, at least from assumed to be female based off the play about them, and being all played by all female actresses.
Mm-hmm.
It would seem if Equestria would at least have been, if it isn't currently, a matriarchy.
Yeah, a matriarchy.
Yeah,
or at least has foundings in matriarchal society.
But I would suspect at this point Equestria has at least some sort of established, gender equality and all that stuff. So I wouldn't really.
It looks more like it has some, it is equal. There's no gender bias that way, but you can still see some relics of it.
Yeah, some things like that. But like, for example, the government is headed by four
mayors.
So, if anything, you could argue Equestria is most likely a matriarchy.
Yeah, if you have to pick one or the other, there's one that looks like it's
more likely
than the other.
But this is not political or anything. I'm so freaked out about touching this one.
There's a very good reason why we're seeing that, and that's because this was originally intended for little girls.
Yeah, I remember that. So that's why
they're going to present the little girls much better.
A lot of people like to argue there's a massive gender imbalance in numbers, in population numbers, but I would suspect that's just because
we're only seeing
because we're little girls.
Yes.
But anyway, circling back to where I was going. If it's a matriarchy.
And the names.
Naming. See, in our society, we tend to, it's traditional for if a woman to take the last name of the man she's marrying. That's kind of a traditional thing.
Yeah, it's been very traditional. I've seen it go the other direction, but those are usually outliers.
Yeah. I would assume, if this is a matriarchy, that it would be the opposite, where the guy or the stallion would take the last name of the mare, if there is a last name.
If there's a last name.
Which is another one of those. So did Carrot Cake adopt the name Cake after getting married to Cupcake? Or is it just...
I don't know, because...
again, because you get the cutie mark with the Carrot Cake.
Carrot Cake has a Carrot Cake cutie mark, so that would imply that's been his name.
This whole subject is kind of scary for me. And I still brought it up anyway, but I'm not trying to get political or anything, though I do... you've probably seen me get political on Twitter a couple times, so you probably know where I stand. Just
anyway,
I was kind of that's one. But anyway, I guess moving away from that, I guess sort of in familial thing though. But this is a totally different topic, and I've seen this one pop up more often lately. more and more often, and speculation, which is Sunset Shimmer is Celestia's daughter.
Yeah, you said you've seen that one. I haven't yet seen it.
I've seen it quite a bit now.
But of course, you're going to be seeing
fanfics,
more Sunset than I will.
Yeah, through fanfics and this, forum speculation and whatnot. It's kind of become a semi-popular thing. And, part of it's just the sunset, sun. Cutie Mark's a sun.
Celestia, sun, yeah.
She was a Celestia's pupil. So a lot. And it's kind of funny because a similar thing happened way back in season 1 with Twilight of all. Yeah, and a lot of you probably remember way back in season 1 if you were around back then. This was actually a very common fan theory, which was Twilight is actually Celestia's daughter. Either it was a secret or it wasn't a secret. Any which way, it was just a very common fan theory that they're related. Until Cutie Mark Chronicles aired and showed that Twilight does in fact have parents.
Yep,
which we've talked about already a couple of times in this show.
Yep,
but it's kind of interesting in that regard because it's kind of this thing is just kind of repeating itself except with a different character. But I just find it interesting just because this whole idea that it's another thing of Celestia feeling like she betrayed a family member type thing, and it's a very popular fanon right now. I don't think it'll ever actually be like canonized. If it does, I'll be like, wow, they actually went there. But
yeah, I highly doubt it will be.
Yeah, but it's just kind of an interesting thing to think about because it kind of adds even more weight to the whole Sunset's betrayal of Celestia thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh wow, it's your pupil is one thing, but your own daughter, ouch.
Like, wow, you have what?
Ouch, that again?
Yeah, you have what? 2 family members that have both betrayed you?
Yeah. Ow. But
starting to see it's a pattern here.
Yeah, but it's kind of just it's very vague. I can see why people would think that, and it's kind of a neat idea to toss around and say it's the same thing with Twilight way back when.
Yeah, I don't think it would stand up very well on its own if you were really trying to do it. Because I mean,
you have to
it would be tough. I think it's more useful as a thought experiment.
Just to think about it, make it work pretty well. You just have to.
But I do find it funny that people keep trying to make the a major character
related.
Yeah, they keep want to give Celestia a daughter. They're just like, why does everyone want to give Celestia a daughter?
I don't know.
What is people's obsession with that? That's a very interesting thing to think about.
Because we had remember the comics actually established a romance between the good Sombra and Celestia. Wouldn't that be a thing?
That would be. Oh
wow.
Oh wow.
But yeah.
Illegitimate. Well.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if you can call it illegitimate, but
it's one of those. I'm seeing increasingly common. It's kind of an interesting theory. I don't think it will ever be a thing for real, but it is kind of interesting from that perspective of she has a daughter who was supposed to basically actually become a princess, but got arrogant, impatient, and betrayed her and ran off. And because some of those supporting evidence, quote unquote, is like from the first Equestrian Girls. The first thing Celestia says to Twilight when she comes back is not, "Are you okay? Did you succeed or anything?" But how is Sunset Shimmer? Is she okay? But again, it's just one of those. Hey, let's just take this one thing. But yeah, that's another thing. I think it's an interesting one. It was like I thought that Twilight being related to Celestia was also an interesting theory, which still pops up here and there.
Mom Lestia is a very, very popular thing.
It still pops up more as Twilight was adopted by the parents we've seen in the show or something because of reasons like Celestia can't have a kid because of political or
which does sort of make sense,
or doesn't have time to actually raise a kid or something, or is like the stallion. It was kind of one of those that wasn't supposed to happen things. Or I don't know. But anyway,
it reminds me. I've seen a couple of them. It was Dash was Celestia's daughter.
Yeah, I've seen that one. That was weird.
Well, I guess that explains your multicolored
itself,
name.
I read that was bizarre.
Yeah,
I remember the actual the dialogue was weird.
Yeah, the one shot that established it.
Yeah,
that one. It was old.
Yeah, it was very old. I remember.
And then there was like a semi-official sequel that never finished. That was also just kind of
what? Yeah, it was just weird overall.
But yeah, it's like, oh, well, that would explain her multichromatic mane, sort of.
Except the whole completely different colors.
Yeah.
Remember, we already established colors don't seem to necessarily go anywhere. But Anyway, I also brought up comics earlier with the whole thing, and this is kind of, I alluded to it earlier, but the Jim Miller, if you saw on Twitter, recently talked about canon with the show and the comics, which kind of sparked a little bit of a mini drama.
Yeah, a little mini drama thing.
But basically, he's affirming a long thought notion, which is comics and the show are not necessarily the show is never gonna necessarily reference the comics, and the comics may or may not be canon type thing. He's basically says the show is I guess the show is canon. The comics are not necessarily canon, more or less.
Yeah.
And this affirms what a lot of people believe, which because the joke is I think there's actually been a running joke that the comics are pretty much official fan fiction, which is like ow for the writers. But it does fit because we've said the same thing before, which is tiered canon. If you don't know, that basically means show trumps all. Everything, but everything official Hasbro.
If it is stamped with an official Hasbro logo, it's canon.
It's canon, but the show trumps it. If the show and the comics contradict each other, the show's canon.
Yep.
The show and the chapter books contradict each other, show's canon. Basically, anything contradicts the show is canon. If some person who works on the show goes on Twitter and says something and the show contradicts it, the show is canon.
The show can even...
If Lauren Faust says something, the show contradicts it, guess what? The show is canon, period. Especially since she hasn't worked on it since season 2.
Yes, Lauren Faust, well, she's awesome and created this all for us. Even if she says her original plan was to have this happen, if the show has something else happen, the show is canon.
Yeah.
That's
and
the
also
thing.
If the show contradicts itself, whatever's newer is canon. Just go with that. It just makes things a lot easier.
Whatever happens to work the best, and the newest always tends to work the best.
Usually, yeah. It's just because that usually means either an intentional retcon or just kind of this idea works better anyway or something.
Yeah.
So it's kind of made in mini drama, I guess. It kind of blew up and disappeared pretty quickly, though. I think part of it was just kind of the language he used. People got rustled over that.
Yeah, I think one of the things you're saying that canon doesn't matter, which is going to rustle a few people's feathers because some of us really do like seeing continuity and understanding
especially since
canon.
Now the show seems to be going to more of a direction of having a harder continuity than it used to.
Yeah.
And a director saying, "Oh, canon doesn't matter." It's like,
yeah, it's going to upset some people. What it sounds like to me is that he's like been dealing with a whole bunch of people throwing a fit that the canon isn't right according to them. Which I could definitely see people getting worn down after
people
that.
are upset because the comics and the cartoon don't always seem to line up, and people are upset about that. Which, especially if the comics are supposed to be this canon thing, I'm like, why are they constantly contradicting each other?
Yeah,
well, not constantly, but
come on.
But
don't throw a fit over it.
It's weird. It's a weird thing because we have seen characters act differently. Like, let's be honest, Luna in the comics acts pretty different from Luna in the show. Luna in the show is pretty stoic. Luna in the with the occasional goofiness, I guess. But the Luna in the comics is pretty much a goofball with a pet
possum.
Yeah, I think Tibbles.
Yep.
So it's a weird thing. It's just I just go with this. Just assume the comic is canon until it contradicts the show. In which case, sometimes this means you got this partially canon comic. Sometimes you have to kind of toss an issue out entirely, which sometimes may be a good thing. For example, Equestrian Goes Holiday Special. Lots of contradictions there.
Yeah.
Guess what? We can toss it out. Because let's be honest, it wasn't really all liked anyway.
Yep. That one we can just toss. Some things you can just take your imaginary Sharpie marker and just say, okay, this little
or
particular...
real Sharpie marker. If you really
don't
want
to really take a Sharpie marker to this stuff. But you can just mentally say, okay, this little piece has no bearing on the rest of the story I'm reading and contradicts. So we can just cross it out. For example,
I guess this would also mean theoretically, from what I understand, deer have been shown in the show to be more like pets. But in the comic, most recent, the 27, deer are apparently talking sentient creatures who live in the Everfree Forest, and this kind of presents a nasty little canon problem. So guess what? Issue 27, 28, this means 27, 28 are not canon.
Yes,
it's just so integral to the plot.
Yeah, unless you can resolve something like there are different types of deer.
Deer trafficking.
Fluttershy
the participant.
Well, yeah, there's what about the sheep on Applejack's farm?
Yeah, that's another thing. That's all people have always had arguments about the sheep and the cows.
Yeah, they're obviously sentient creatures and they can talk. They talk.
It's one of those things where the people make the show and don't think about it because
it's like,
Oh wait, Then again, you could just say the cows do it willingly. Free will and more. Who knows? Cows are weird.
I don't know.
Cows are weird creatures. But then you also got like the issue 25 and 26, which was another a set of issues people weren't exactly happy about. You can kind of declare pieces of it not canon or something because there was, to be honest, there were a few little contradictions.
Yeah.
Just one major contradiction. If you're going to, because it's another thing is like, okay, events, okay, events and large concepts, you can, okay, that's easy to toss out. It's more, when you get to character behavior, that can be a little more tricky. And then you got, okay, this is all fine except for this one piece. For example, the Fall of Sunset Shimmer.
Had Twilight in the background.
Yeah, a very young Twilight in the background, which kind of presents a nasty little issue in of itself.
I have an age problem, but it has no bearing on the rest of the characters, so out comes the Sharpie, and bye-bye goes Twilight.
Yep, and family.
Yep.
Because it's Shining and Cadence as well. So it's like, it's one of those, you kind of have to ignore that to make things work properly, so just know that. So, yeah, once again, comics, canon until contradicts show. Fairly easy to remember, actually. So, show is greater than all in this case, regardless of personal feelings. So, I guess that's it for this.
Wasn't as short as we were expecting.
Yeah, we thought it would be shorter, but then things stopped popping up, and then we kind of kept talking.
Yep.
So, that's it for that discussion. I got one fanfic
because I do not have any music.
Talk about. And this is called Only the Good Die Young, and it's by Sharp Shark. This is a nice little twist on a fairly common concept, I think in pony fiction, fan fiction. And I was like, I kind of saw it, and I was like, what's this? And so I'm reading, and I was like, oh. Yeah, so it's got a gore and a dark tag. The gore isn't as a huge thing.
Yeah, it's not.
Very, like, it's like a paragraph.
Yeah, it's right at the beginning, and then nothing else.
It's not really not even that bad.
It isn't.
But it does deal with some pretty dark, heavy concepts.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, it's Apple Bloom is out climbing a tree and with her friends. So they're kind of, and then they fall, and
it gets his guard tag.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, this seems like death, and then all of a sudden we get to a scene of them just walking the sugar cube corner. Fine, they're disappointed, but they're fine. And then more stuff, and then a pink mare with a tiara. Wait, Diamond. What? That's not Diamond Tiara? What is going on?
And they're nice?
Yeah, so it's initially confusing, and then you start piecing it together. That's when you figure out what's going on. And because of that, I think it's pretty nice little twist on the concept. I don't want to go much further, but I definitely recommend checking out. But just know it's kind of pretty dark at times and can be a little depressing.
Yeah, it was a bit depressing. It was well written though. I did enjoy it. I do recommend reading it. It's fairly short. It's like 5,000 something words.
Yeah.
Yeah. The gore isn't anything really bad. I just suggest giving it a read. Mm-hmm. But don't expect to be smiling afterwards. It's not one of those stories.
Possibly sitting there with your head on your desk kind of thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the fanfic. Check it out. I got two updates real quick as well. Twilight Falls, Sunset Dawns, that updated with another chapter recently. Not quite in the direction I was expecting it to go, that's for sure. It's just basically Sunset seems to be more inclined to stay in Twilight's body, but for different reasons than what she initially had. And Twilight right now in Sunset's body is trying to fix it. So it's still going. I still think it's getting close to the end though. So see where that goes. And Pinkie Pie Swear updated with 2 more chapters. And last week I said 2, but then I went to 3, so I would not be surprised if there's more than 2 after this. We had 2 more chapters, further delineation from the Rainbow Rocks. So, yeah, it's starting to get to that point. I think we're getting to the point of, we're getting close to the end of Rainbow Rocks itself, so I'm not sure where the fanfic's going to go after that, but still interesting. So, once again, check those out again. But anyway, that's all for the show.
Yep, because I don't have any music.
Nope.
Bunch of good ones, but nothing really pony related.
Oh, well.
Enough. Alas.
It happens.
It does.
Anyway, if you enjoyed our little quote unquote talk on fanon and whatnot, and you want to hear more from us, you can go listen to past and future episodes all at pony411.libsyn.com. All the episodes are there. You can subscribe to the RSS, whatever. You can also go to iTunes and search for Pony411. Subscribe there, and every episode should update within quick succession of it being
whenever iTunes decides to check.
Yeah, iTunes usually pretty quick. It's usually within an hour. You can also go to YouTube, youtube.com/pony411 if you don't want to download anything. You can go to Stitcher.com, or use the apps on iOS or Android and search for Pony411. Use that service. It's pretty nice. Or you can go to Ponyville FM every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And also listen to the music surrounding it, because a lot of it's pretty good, especially the live mixes beforehand. So go tune into those as well. You can contact us if you hated the episode, liked the episode, want to add something, want to correct us on something, whatever. You can email us, pony411podcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/pony411. All our episodes are shown there when they come out. We also have Twitter. We're at Pony411. We tweet new episodes, sometimes tweet nonsense like, say, about Legends of Equestria.
Yep.
Because that happened, if you didn't notice.
That happened again. That was fun.
That wasn't in the news because, well...
yeah, that's over by now.
Yeah. It'll be several days over. But you can also, contact us on our personal Twitters. I'm at Nemesis Prime 1. He's at Alca7raz with an underscore at the end and a 7 instead of a T. We tweet about nonsense. Sometimes he'll tweet, pictures from Legends of Equestria or something. I'll tweet about Transformers or Legends of Equestria or whatever nonsense pops in my head that day. Maybe video games. Who knows? But anyway, that's it for this episode. Join us next week. I'm hoping, I've got some things lined up. I'm hoping they come through. Who knows, though? But until then, though, please pony responsibly, guys. Installing for time. Don't tell anyone.